Go. Aloha, everyone, in another level living land. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Freedom Fridays. So happy that you're here because we are in store for an amazing treat today. We have an awesome powerhouse lady who has some amazing wisdom on how to increase our sales with confidence conversations. Now, let me just tell you, first of all, what is the purpose of this show? The purpose of this show is to support you as the entrepreneur in achieving success in business and life harmony so that you can stress less, strengthen your relationships, lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum, work smarter and not harder, and create your own time, money, and emotional freedom. I want you all to give our special guest today, Yvonne E.L. Silver, a warm welcome. And she's going to be talking today to us about confident conversations leading to 300% more sales. Oh, Yvonne, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to join and happy to serve your audience.
Awesome. We're so happy that you're blessing us with your presence today. Let me let them know a little bit about who you are, okay? All right. So Yvonne E.L. Silver is the founder of Flourish as well as Women and Wisdom Media and a certified bank iOS 6 intelligence coach. Her clients are women entrepreneurs who are seeking to flourish. And she is a speaker, an author, a certified executive coach, as well as a chartered professional HR consultant who is seasoned in business. She coaches and mentors visionary entrepreneurs and leaders to flourish in business by mastering their authentic voice and having powerful and confident conversations so they can thrive in a man's world, creating a sustainable business and proud legacy. She leverages over 30 years of experience in an high growth startups and supporting Fortune 500 firms. And she also draws experience holding senior roles, also of founder, consultant, and HR director. Oh my gosh, Yvonne, welcome so much. This is so exciting. I cannot wait to hear about this because one of the things that I know all of us want is more sales, right? And how to be able to do that, how to be able to actually have that, the word is exponential receiving faster, right? So tell me, first of all, tell us, why is this something that's so important and what can we do about it?
Well, it's so important because many of the audience listeners are entrepreneurs, I imagine. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you are a professional, there's still things that you can glean from this topic. So don't go anywhere, grab your pens and paper. The entrepreneurial world, obviously, if you have no sales, you have no business. So it's a really important skill. And especially what I found with my female clients is they're not always comfortable with this whole topic of the word sales. So what I say is actually to, write the word down on paper and then put a big red cross through it.
Okay.
Because if you change that word from sales to service, you're already stepping into what you want the relationship to be. And that sales part is really only one small conversation where you're saying, this is my price, this is what my value is, when can we get started? The rest is all service. So why not step into that energy right away? I am also certified in Reiki. I can't remember if that was in the bio or not, but it's about having that connection. And if you're giving something right away, it makes a big difference. So sales is the lifeblood. It's always something that we approach differently. Every conversation is unique. So we need to build trust. We need to be thinking about the personality of the person that we're talking to and how they like to get information delivered. I'll talk a bit more about that a bit later. But it really is about being heard in today's marketplace because it's really quite noisy out there.
Wow, that's so good. You've already given us some amazing wisdom and tips, like crossing out and breaking free from the word selling or sales to serving. Actually, even when you take that word selling and you switch those two letters, it means serving. So stepping into that service automatically increases that vibration and connection when you're having the call. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what is it that we can do about this? Because you're right. A lot of times we struggle, especially when we're going from working for someone else and now we're working for ourselves. Like it requires that shift of mindset to be able to receive and actually have those conversations. So from your experience, what can you share with us on how we can be able to do that?
Mhm. Well, you've got to really put your CEO hat on right from day one. So whether you are, as I said, an entrepreneur or whether you're in a professional role, you are the CEO of your career. Period. You are the CEO of your business, even if you're a one-person business. And when you start thinking like a CEO, it steps you away from being a solopreneur who's trying to do everything to really looking at what are the tasks that I am best suited for. Where is my genius spent? It's not accounting, right? Because that's capturing things that have already happened. It's going to be on proactive tasks, building relationships, certainly setting up new client conversations, serving my coaching clients, and delivering value. That's where I'm going to play best. So if we know what those pieces are, we can step into thinking like a CEO right from day one.
Right.
I use a process called ask in my business as well, which is really powerful. Happy to share. It's only
Yes.
3 letters. So, ask is about appreciative inquiry. And if you're not familiar with that concept, listeners, it's about appreciating what's working really well and then inquiring into, and how could it be even better? And it's David Cooper Ryder's original work. He had 4 questions. I use 2 in my business. So when I'm having a conversation with potentially a new client, instead of starting with the typical sales thing, tell me about your greatest pain, your greatest challenge, what's keeping you up at night, which is very old sales methodology now. I always start with, tell me about your business and what's working really well. And then they share. They're happy to share. So the energy is positive already. It's not this deflated energy. Oh my gosh, I've got this challenge. And then I ask, well, how could it be even better? Because that sounds amazing. You're on a right track for 2024. They share some more. And then sometimes the challenges come out in the process of sharing what could be even better. But mostly it's about, again, what they want to do this year. Then I will simply say, can I share a little bit about what I do? Because I think together we could co-create a new solution that might actually help you get to where you want to go faster. And no one ever says no because there's nothing to object to, because it's a future possible maybe state, and it works really well. So I encourage especially women, it's a great technique to ask. So that's the A piece. S
Okay.
is about sales kinetics, and that's about giving first. So the energy of reciprocity, you're leveraging that energy by giving a gift first. And then the last piece is about the knowledge to use personality science to really understand how the person wants information delivered. If you're an action person, you want it coming at you in a different way. If you're a knowledge personality, you want the details, the data, the science, the evidence, the proof. And there's 2 other codes as well. So ask, ASK, because if you don't ask, you're not going to be in business very long.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. It's only 3 letters and 3 meanings, and it's so simple. And I
Yeah.
love that you talked about, how we start the conversation, going from like the old paradigm to creating a new paradigm where it brings their energy up, like in talking about what they do. Oh, that
Mhm.
sounds so good. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me.
well, it is all about energy, right? We want to build trust with people. We want to have that no like trust factor. And so when they're even on Zoom, when they're feeling that you are resonating with them, you're at the same vibrational level, it makes a huge difference to having that conversation flow easily and in a more connected way.
Nice. Nice. What do you think, what would you attribute to um like what are some of the things that we can be able to do to make it even a little bit more easier, like with this conversation? Like what are some of the things that get in the way of even starting the conversation or even approaching sales that you found?
Well, I also love certain words, right? I wrote this book, Words, Women, and Wisdom: The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. So there's 40 different words and word concepts in that book, some of which are add them into your conversation, some of which are take them out, and some
Okay.
are the last chapters actually when no words are even required. So it's about using the power of pause and how to show up so that you feel like an authority figure, you feel like an expert. Sometimes it's as simple as putting a jacket on that has a collar, right? When you go to the golf course, they don't let you wear a round neck t-shirt with no collar because it's too casual. So just put a jacket on with a collar, and it makes a huge difference to how much authority you have right away. Questions, or rather words. So I'm curious is one of my favorite statements. I'm
Curious.
curious, can you share a little more about? So rather than just diving in and saying, tell me about blah, 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 which sometimes seems like a little woo in your face, it's a softer way. You're coming from this place of curiosity, and people are very much more willing to engage when they have that at the beginning of the sentence. When could we? What if? How could we? I love open-ended questions that don't give an opportunity for someone to say yes or no, because I want to hear the details. I want to have the juicy conversation. So if I just say, would you like to get started with coaching with me? It's either yes or no. Versus if I say, wow, you know, what you've shared is really an exciting journey. I'd love to be part of it. We seem like we have great energy together. When would you like to get started? It's
Nice.
so much easier, right?
So good. So good. It's so true because it allows the energy throughout the whole conversation to be that connection and leading up to inviting them to an opportunity to work with you.
It is an invitation. It's an offer. It's an invitation. Not everybody gets in my calendar, and that's just the way it is. I only want to work with people who are committed to their own success. They're ready and willing to do the work. I've learned over the years that even if it's inside a corporation and someone is assigned a coach, it doesn't matter if they're not ready and willing to do the work, because a lot of my questions are helping them to self-discover their own answer. It's not me telling them. That's more about when I'm mentoring people. This is what I did, and this is how I did it. What can you take away from that? It's how willing are you to step into an expansion, and what's your best idea to move this forward? Because you know your situation, what's going on in your life, your bandwidth, your budget, the people around you you might need to engage. I don't know those things. And when you come up with your own idea, as you know, Heather, the brain, right, the reticular activating system will spark a new idea, and then you'll see it everywhere. And then also your brain will rewire. It's neuroplasticity. When you decide that you're going to commit to something and it's your idea and you act on it within 2 to 5 days, your brain will rewire around getting that accomplished. But you've got to take action.
Nice. Oh, nice. What are some of the like common success blocks that you see or that when people are getting ready to have these sales conversation or even taking the action to be able to get a calendar link and have people like what are some of the things that are like common that you see that where there may be resistance to
Yeah.
approaching these conversations?
What I've learned over the years, and I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years, working with women entrepreneurs in particular, 8 startups. A lot of it is about having real clarity around the value that you're providing, because people nowadays want results and they want to pay you to help them to go from A to B and fill the gap. And here's how I get that gap filled. What steps do I need to take to achieve the results? So I always start with the end in mind, right? Classic, Stephen Covey is what is it you want to achieve? And then what do you need to showcase in your skills, abilities, what you've done in your life, how you've added value for other people to be able to showcase that this valuable package is what the person really wants to buy and needs to buy in order to get the same results that you're getting. So not being clear on your value causes you very often to go into a conversation and then you hesitate because you're not confident. And as soon as you hesitate, someone will jump in. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
I wasn't confident. I went in, I paused, then they jumped in and they came in with an objection. Well, yeah, because you open the space to create it with your doubt. So
Oh,
getting really clear on what value you provide, how you actually can measure that. So at the end of working together for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, here's what we can expect. Here's the change that we're going to initiate, and here's what you need to do in order to get there.
so good. So good. It's that part about beginning with the end in mind. A lot of times there's confusion or there's uncertainty. And I always say if there is a doubt or or like some kind of limitation to your belief about being
Mhm.
able to facilitate whatever transformation that you're offering, it will trickle in to the entire sales process. Right.
Yeah.
So that clarity of and the confidence of what you have to offer and knowing that you can facilitate that transformation is something that's so profound and powerful. So,
Mhm.
so many nuggets on that.
It's like, I have a Flourish program. So it's actually, 3 primary steps. It's first you visualize, then you monetize, then you optimize. Because what I found was a lot of people want to just jump to the monetize piece right away. Oh, well, I'm in business. I got to get my website up. Hang on a second, right? What are you going to put on it? Who are you writing it for? What is the value that you want to share? If you spend thousands of dollars getting, or even if it's a small template website, if you spend a lot of time on putting that together, but you don't have a traffic generation strategy to send people looking at your website, it's like a sunny day with the blinds closed. No one's going to see it. That's one of Deborah Poneman, I think, quoted me that. um, and that's a waste of time. So there are things you need to do in order. You need to shore up your own foundation first and get really crystal clear on what are you building and why. Why are you building this? Because a lot of my clients, they want to have a balanced lifestyle. They want to have more time with their children. They want all these other things. And the business is what's going to get them to that place of freedom, because it is going to, once it's up and running and singing, it's going to give them the income, but also allow them to work the hours that they want to work that fit around their family lifestyle. And you can't have balance if all you're doing all the time is working until midnight to get your sales in the door. So we need to think about what is it that I and only I, in my unique combination, in my case, it's human resources with people skills, it's sales, and it's about coaching. It's those 3 things coming together with 30 years of business experience. So yeah, I'm actually older than I look, but I can deliver those experiences in a way that resonate with my clients, because it's my journey. And if I'm clear on the value of my journey and the peaks and the valleys that I can bring to light for my clients, it makes a huge difference. So every one of my clients needs to get really, really clear. Who are they? Why do they add value? And what can they do to bring that value to their clients so that they're getting that fuel coming in, constant revenue?
So good. I mean, it goes into like, usually I hear people say, oh, I got to do marketing. I got to do selling. I'm stuck there. And then they don't realize that before the marketing, there's the branding.
Yeah.
But even before the branding, there's all of you. So that congruency of your why and who you are and really stepping into that, that will filter through the entire process. So if there's
Mhm.
any like conflict or anything that's going on, even internally, it will impact. It will impact. So you're that reminder of getting grounded into what's your why? What is the transformation? At the end of the transformation, what is going to be their expectation that they'll be able to have? That
Yeah.
clarity and that congruency going into the conversation will automatically undoubtedly leading to a successful sale.
Right. Because when you know what the result is, then you can quantify what's the value of that. And as long as the value of the output is bigger than the fee that you're charging for the service, it's an easy decision for the person to make. So how can you create that value in what they want to accomplish? How do you dial it into the equivalent dollars so that they can clearly see, if I work with Yvonne, it's actually going to be cheaper because I'm already spending this amount of money on something else and it's not working. So let's switch gears. Or I can see clearly that if we work together and I get 10 new clients, how much that's worth. And I had one of my clients, we hadn't even gotten working together yet, I had a 10-minute conversation to set her up for something that she was doing that week. And we were starting coaching next week. And in that 10 minutes, shared a couple of wisdom nuggets like this. And then she sent me a little video after saying, "Hey, I just got my first client and we haven't even worked together yet."
Nice. It's like it becomes magical, you know? It's like when you take, so a lot of times even the biggest step, the biggest fear is taking the first step. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of times a lot of resistance or uncertainty. But when you take that step and like, okay, I'm gonna work with Yvonne, it's gonna be amazing. And then all of a sudden, all of the things operate and that work towards making that experience magical. I love to hear even that happening before you even working with her like officially. So
Yeah.
good. And that's how
I
it
know.
happens.
I'm so excited.
You know, and it's so funny. Like, so it kind of goes into this part about people think that it has to be hard. You know, one of the biggest things I hear is like, I gotta get clients. I don't understand. And there's this overcomplication to the process. I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and she said, you know, I got a new client, and I was like, and she was like, and it was like a magical process. I just went into the conversation, I trusted, and then it was just like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yes, that's exactly how it works. It doesn't have to be this overcomplication. It doesn't have to be this overwhelm. It's a conversation,
Yeah.
right? And you're inviting them detached from the outcome and just inviting them on the journey. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, just be open, and that's where that element of trust comes in. You know, when I put my book together, it wasn't like a overnight, you know, a 16-page ebook kind of thing. It was a 2-year project. It was a 2-year project. It took me 9 months to write, because every morning I would get up at 5, I'd do my half hour, my journaling, my gratitudes, my visualization, my meditation, and then I would start writing for an hour before my family was up. And it was almost like the words that needed to be in downloaded through me. So those 40 words and word concepts are to help women to ask for what they want and get it, doing it in an assertive way, not an aggressive way. And some of these same principles, if you're a professional that's listening, you're not an entrepreneur, you can still look at your job and look at the metrics that you have around your job. Like when you have a performance review, how does your boss measure you for success? And if you're not clear on what those are, go find out in your next meeting with them. How are you being measured for success? Because sometimes that's a bit of a question mark. And then what can I do to help the company make more money, save money, attract new clients? Maybe it's about engaging employees. Maybe it's about a special committee, a special project to help raise the profile in the community. Maybe it's about a new technology that gives them first to market advantage. Like as an employee, you still have a way to quantify your results and showcase your value. So you can ask for that promotion the next opportunity that you have, because you've proven, look, I'm competent at my job already. I'm ready for something bigger. Not only am I thinking about how I do my job, but I'm thinking about how I can be strategic to the company and save the money and add value and add revenue. And bosses love to hear that kind of attitude, because it's like, whoa, not everyone's thinking that way. They're really
So
engaged
good.
with bringing themselves, their full selves to the table.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's something that's so profound. And a lot of times people don't even think about it, but it really is that part about asking for what you want, asking how I can be a better service, asking how, so anything that you're doing, regardless of whether you're in business listening to this, or regardless of whether you're working for someone, how can you be able to show up in your highest level of service? So not only for yourself, but also for the environment that you're in.
Mhm.
So good.
Become the CEO of your career, whether that's
Yes.
as a professional, as an entrepreneur. Think like a CEO, step into asking, because women just don't ask. And the data actually shows, Heather, that by the time women get through their whole career, if they haven't negotiated their salary in their first job, that it compounds, where what their earnings are is over $500,000 less, because they didn't ask and they didn't negotiate for their first salary.
Oh my.
And that's like $500,000 that could have been going into your pocket to your family. just by not asking. That was a Babcock and Lashever survey that I quoted in my book.
Wow, that's
Um, yeah. So my mission is, I mean, I grew up in a family where my dad came back from World War II. He had PTSD. He showed up as a very angry man, and he just was constantly criticizing, and that criticism drained the dignity right out of my mom. And I swore, watching this as a kid, that I was never going to be that person. And she lost her voice literally because of his criticism and anger. And so when I wrote the book, it was like, okay, what's the topic and the focus? And I dedicated it to my mom as my first, what I call unmentor, because she showed me what not to do, and put the words in there that really were power words to help women to speak up, to be heard, ask for what you want, get it, because you're so clear in your ask that people have to say yes. It's non-negotiable. And
good.
that was my journey. And so that's why it's so important to get this work out. So with the book, for every copy that's purchased, a hard copy, I donate one to a women's shelter foundation and not for profit, because
Oh,
those are
that's
very
so
often the
good.
women who really need some extra word power.
Oh, that's so good and so essential and so needed right now. I appreciate your service and your experience because even I always say sometimes the biggest battles that we go through, they're not just for us, but they're also for so many other people who are before or coming behind us that don't even really know the wisdom. And so you're able to share that with them and give them inspiration and hope and possibilities on stepping into their voice and asking
Mhm.
for what they want. Oh, so powerful.
Yeah. What came through this came through in a download this year is I'm actually working on a new program which is called My Voice. And so it's pulling together some of the concepts that I've used in different programs in the past and putting it together in a new way. So the M is about minimizing and editing, because I believe that, like Michelangelo, when he's carving a statue, it's a whole block of marble, but it's about cutting away the unnecessary to reveal the beauty within. And that's what very often I'm doing with my clients at the beginning, is I'm helping them strip away the old beliefs and the things they've been told that aren't true, and really getting back to who are you and what are your unique gifts to share with the world. So minimize and edit, which is partly connected to that ask methodology, understanding their unique value. So that's the why, your unique value. And
Okay.
then the V is about visualizing success. So it's head and heart integrated together. I have a process for that. O is opportunity exploration. Who do you want to serve and how? I is about insights. So that's where I'm bringing in tools like the emotional intelligence inventory that I'm certified in, the bank tool. C is about confident words. So that's, again, going back to, start with these 40 words in the book.
Okay.
And then the E is about end game habits, much like when we, go on a food plan and we lose a little bit of weight. It's not enough to just lose it and then pack it on again. What are the habits that are going to help sustain these new endeavors? And so you're continuing to expand and grow on your own. I don't want to be in someone's world forever. I want them to be, kind of like a teaching someone to fish versus giving them a fish, right? I
Right.
want them eventually to, think of me like a plant stake, right? You have a stake that you tie up a small plant to before it's got its really deep roots, so it
Mhm.
doesn't get knocked over by a windstorm. So eventually I'm the plant stake, you just pull me out and then off you go, you're growing and flourishing by yourself. But initially, when you don't have those deep roots, it's easy to get knocked sideways. So that's my role in the world. Be the plant stake.
I love that. It was making me think about this video that I recently did talking about the three vessels, right? Like, so sometimes these things can happen, and then all of a sudden we operate like the speedboat and we go so fast and we burn out of gas, or something that so happens where we're not deeply rooted then it comes and we get drifted off like a raft out into sea. But it's about becoming like the sailboat where there's a storm, we're navigating through it, we know what to do, we own who we are, and then the direction and the trust and faith is there as we take that action. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah.
how can, I mean, the wisdom that you've shared with us has just been so profound. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this with us. How can we be able to stay connected to you? Like, what is something that you can be able to offer us so therefore we can get to know you more and be
Mhm.
able to stay in your world?
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, you got to walk your own talk, right? So I came with a gift. So
Yay.
the gift, if you're able to put the link in where the listeners can grab it, is actually to receive chapter 8 of my book as a download PDF. So that's of my free gift.
Okay.
Um, Chapter 8 is when no words are required. So as I mentioned, it's using things like the power of pause. How do you show up for the meeting? So no one's saying, hey, can you grab the coffee? No, I'm leading the meeting, right? That they don't even ask, right? So you can download chapter 8. Certainly, if you want more information, that will get you onto my Women in Wisdom VIP list, and then you'll get regular updates on what's happening. Who am I interviewing on my radio show, like I did recently with Heather? For example, what new programs are coming out, people I'm getting connected with, things that are happening, events, etc. So yeah, start there. Download the gift. It's a gift, right?
The gift
And
that keeps on giving.
oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because
All right,
as I said,
I'll definitely put that in the link in the comments below right after we get off the show.
yeah,
Um, and then I also want to hear, like, based on everything that we talked about, like, what would be the biggest thing that you want to leave us with today?
ask.
Ask.
Really, it is about asking. It's about who am I? What am I here to share? And who am I serving? And don't forget to ask, because if you don't ask, you won't get it. And if you do ask and you get a no, well, that's 50% better than you thought. I mean, if you get a yes, it's 50% better than you thought you were going to get. But if you get a no, you're in exactly the same place as you were before. You haven't lost anything by asking. So step it up,
Oh,
ask,
I
because you're
love
leaving
that.
money on the table.
It's one of the things I would share is that if you don't ask, the answer is no. And if you do ask and the answer is no, then what's the worst that could happen? Okay, cool. No. And then the beautiful thing is a lot of times there's this interesting thing about not knowing about the money or even the fear of receiving. And the thing is, like, money comes through people. So even if there's a no, I always tell my clients, celebrate the no, because that's awesome. Go ahead and take inspired action on who's the next person to reach out to. Be
Mhm.
detached from the outcome and be open and curious to the receiving of where it's going
Yeah.
to show up. So
Yeah,
good.
it just means not ready yet,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
that's good.
Yeah. Next, some someone's ready out there. There's what you know, how a billion,
How
many
many
millions
billion
of
people are in the
billions of people
world?
on the planet, 1.3 billion people, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, um, and when they're first starting off, they don't have it all together yet. I mean, it took a while to get 5 words: women entrepreneurs seeking to flourish. That's my market, right? That's who I love to serve. But that wasn't an overnight thing. That was a process to get it really dialed in like that.
And it's
So
about
I'm
not
happy
going
to
to
help with the
battle
process.
alone, but like having support, right? Like I'm sure you had people to be able to support you, and that's a lot of times we think that we have to do it by ourselves, but we're
Mm-mm.
called to be able to work with other people, the right people, to be able to get us to where we want to go.
Yeah, well, I have worked with many coaches over the years, and sometimes when we're new to something, we don't even know what questions to ask. And so
Mhm.
that's where a seasoned coach will come in and say, have you considered there might be some other ways to do it? So the person comes up with the small ways to do it, and then the coach can say, can I share something? Here's something to consider. here's what might get you from A to B in like, one leap instead of 10 steps. There's a different
Okay.
way of doing it, right? If you've, when I've worked in 8 different startups now, not all of them were successful. So I learned a lot about, the things that don't work as well. And one of them sold for to 12 million. I wasn't the only
Nice.
person on the team, but I was part of that team watching, what happened. And eventually it got sold to a subsidiary of one of the largest telecoms in Canada. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Bell Canada. And it went, we went through 4 years of mergers and acquisitions and, rebranding and all of these things. And it was like working anywhere else for 10 years. I got it condensed into 4 years. So
Nice.
yeah. So those experiences, when you're working with someone else who's been there, done that, been on the journey, worked with, numerous other entrepreneurs, one of the first things is to get really clear, connect your head and your heart. So I use a process of visioning. It's a 45-minute visioning session to dial in, connect your head and your heart so that you're not disconnected in your message and you can really speak to what it is that you want to create in the world.
So good. So good. Oh my gosh, Yvonne, thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom today. This has been absolutely amazing. For everyone who's listening, I'm going to put the link to her free chapter of her book in the chat. And then I also want you to put down, like, what is your biggest takeaway? What was the thing that spoke to you the most? And you know that sharing is caring. So if you were inspired by this message, which I'm sure that you were, go ahead and share that out to other people. So therefore, they can get this gift of this exponential receiving that each of us are called to receive. Look forward to
Mm.
seeing you again soon for another episode of Freedom Fridays. So grateful for you, Yvonne, for your time today. And
Thank
everyone
you
in
for
another.
sharing.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And everyone in another level living land, look forward to seeing you again next Friday for another episode and have an amazing rest of the day. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.